Welcome to the ETICS online tutorials. This is Module 12, Submitting Remote Builds and Tests. The ETICS system includes functionality for submitting build and test jobs to remote pools of resources using different job management systems. The ETICS engine consists of a generic submission service and connectors for popular job management systems like NMI and Condor, G-Lite, Unicorn and the Amazon Web Service. The ETICS submission engine is a standard part of a typical ETICS system installation. The execution engine receives input from the configuration web service and sends job requests to pools of physical worker nodes or virtual images for various platforms. A very common way of submitting remote build and test jobs is by using the ETICS Web Application. Users need to have the appropriate role or roles in order to submit remote jobs. For more details, watch modules 4, 7 and 9 in this tutorial series.
Select the Configuration tab to show the list of registered projects. Now select a project from the list, for example the org.etics project. All available project configurations are shown in the Configurations list at the bottom. Select a configuration and then click on the Set in Workspace button. You can now work with the selected configuration, making any necessary modifications and submit a remote build. To submit a build, click on the Remote Build button. The Remote Build form opens. Most of the parameters already have simple defaults, but you can modify the build behavior by defining your own settings. You can select one or more platforms where to submit the build. For this exercise, let's check the Do Not Stop on Errors option and select the platform SL5 IA32 GCC 412 from the list. Here you can see that the platform has been selected. Now you can submit the build by clicking on the Submit Remote Build button. Confirmation message is displayed. Now the build is scheduled for execution, you can watch it from the Submissions tab. The list shows all your currently scheduled builds as they go through the different stages of submitting, running and success or failed. Expand the project, select the ETICS Client Test Suite module and select one of its configurations, for example ETICS Client Test Suite R14111, and then click on the Set in Workspace button. You can now work with the selected configuration, making any necessary modifications and submit a remote test. To submit a test, click on the Remote Test button. The Remote Build form opens. Most of the parameters already have simple defaults, but you can modify the test behavior by defining your own settings. It is possible to select one or more platforms where to submit the test. So for this exercise, let's check on the Do Not Stop on Errors option and select the platform SL5 IA32 GCC 412 from the list. You can see that the platform has been selected here. Now you can submit the build by clicking on the Submit a Remote Test button. Confirmation message is displayed. Now the test is scheduled for execution, you can watch it from the Submissions tab.
It is also possible to submit remote build and test jobs using the Python command line client. The ETICS submit command takes all the standard options of the ETICS build and ETICS test commands. In addition, it has a number of options to modify the remote execution behavior. A typical submission command looks like the following. ETICS submit must be followed by build or test to specify whether this is a build or test job. It is also possible to specify optionally a list of platforms where the build or test has to be executed. The Continue on Error option allows the client to continue until the end without stopping at the first error, reporting all errors in the final report. The Register option instructs the client to register the output of the build or test in the ETICS permanent repository. The YAM option instructs the client to create YAM-enabled repositories, which can be used for later deployment of the packages. Run as root is used to instruct the client to instantiate virtual machines with the super user privileges in order to be able to install packages or perform root-specific operations. And finally, it is necessary to specify either a configuration name for the build or test or a project configuration and the module name of the build or test. This concludes Module 12. In the next module, we will analyze a typical build and test report.